All right, let's do it live on a First Friday Miracle Edition of the program. Merely Bo, Great Z. How you living, buddy? Looks like you and I are ready to play golf.
I'd like to go out there in Olympia Fields.
Get it in there.
ABG, always.
You've got 3 or 4
golfing.
days here now. I view these days as
Today's not what it was set out to be, though,
it's
right?
still like it's in the 60s, though.
It's very windy and cloudy.
It's okay. I mean, it's better than what it's going to be next week.
70 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's now tomorrow's supposed to be great, and Friday's good, right? And
We
it's
need
not
this
until
voice-activated cam.
Saturday.
Where
that
is he?
it's-
I
that
can't
it's
see
gone.
him. There it is.
Yeah,
There it is.
after Friday, the world ends. Hi. Hi. See?
That's my favorite Gibby Cam moment ever,
That
and we're
is-
just
it's on
getting
a
started.
short list
That
of
is-
Gibby Cam moments.
that was
that was great.
electric.
That was great.
Oh, man.
We're awaiting Coach.
We are.
He'll be at the podium where he'll discuss a great many things,
Including the thing that's the most annoying thing to talk about.
Yeah, there's no easy way here, kids.
No.
I don't really know where to go with this. This has now been this is week 5.
Well, it was after week 3, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this is the fifth
week
of
where this has been
day to day
nebulous. So we wait, and we don't know when.
We have to get, because Deshaun did not speak today, so we have to get all of our updates, and all the questions will come to the head coach, and we'll find out what he has to say. My guess is
not much.
Him not speaking is probably indicative of the fact that he's not practicing.
Well, wasn't there a report on that already? I mean, I get confused because I don't know what's real and what's
reports
not.
are coming out all over the place. All of a sudden, new diagnoses.
Well, let's get some answers from Coach Stefanski. Let's go there now.
In games there before.
You're down.
Great atmosphere in our league. It's a challenge dealing with that crowd noise, and it's a good football team. It's a Pete Carroll football team, so they're well coached, play with great energy. Offensively, I think they're doing a really nice job. Gino does a really good job in Coach Waldron's offense. He's taking care of the ball. They run it really well. I think Walker's a really, really talented running back. We've seen some good ones so far, and he's right up there. He makes you miss at a incredible rate. Good tight end, very good wide receivers, a ton of keepers and boots, play action, so you have to be on point. Defensively, again, Coach Carroll, Coach Hurt, it's a lot of what they've done for a long time, which is play sound defense, play physical up front. Bringing Bobby Wagner back, I think, makes a huge difference, as you can imagine. Great player, physical on the back end. So really good defense. Got to be about our business. And then special teams. Well coached, good return game, good coverage game. So we really have to have a good week of practice to get ready for what I think is a really, really good football team. So we're excited about that challenge. With Deshaun, PJ's going to start this week. Deshaun's going to focus on his rehab. I just feel like with what happened in the game, landing on his shoulder, there's residual swelling that's affecting his throwing. I think it's the best thing for him to rest this week and focus on the rehab. And, as I've told you guys, I will always make what I think are the best decisions for our football team, for Deshaun, and I feel like this is the best decision for this week. But with that, I'll take any questions.
Kevin, it's now been described as a 4 to 6 week injury. Shouldn't you guys have put him on the IR at the start?
Yeah, I would just tell you, Tony, as you know, we make decisions based on the information that you have every day. You guys have heard me say day to day, and I just think that's based on, the player, how he's feeling, the information with the injury, all those things. But you're just trying to make the best decision you can.
Last time he setback then, did he have more damage, or was there?
No, there's no structural damage, Tom, based on the MRI. There is, like I mentioned, residual swelling, but that's why it's just important for him to focus on rehab this week.
Has the clock been reset on this thing, or are we still in that 4 to 6 time frame with this being week 5?
Yeah, I'm really just focused on this week. He's trying like crazy. This is not for lack of effort. He's making every effort he can to be out there. But with the hit he took, I just felt like, and with the swelling, makes the most sense to focus on rehab this week. And then he'll be out there as soon as he's ready.
Was there any misdiagnosis
from the very beginning? Because up until now, he's been day-to-day for quite a long time.
Yeah, I would just tell you, I mean, every injury, you take in information every single day. So in that way, you're day-to-day. I mean, he's going to focus on rehab this week, but throughout his rehab, you're going to continually find out every single day how he's feeling, how he's progressing through it.
Prior to the hit, did he look like himself to you mechanically? It didn't, I mean, what do we know? But it didn't look like the same Deshaun even before that hit.
Yeah, he was progressing in the right direction, was able to practice last week. But I felt like with that hit, I just didn't like that right on the shoulder. And then coming out of it with swelling, I just did not feel like that would, put him in his best spot to practice this week. So
That hit, he would have finished the game and he'd still be.
yeah.
The conversation to rest this week?
Yeah, I talk to Deshaun every day. Like I mentioned to you guys, it's he wants to play very badly. He also knows that rehab is the decision this week, and but he's going to do everything he can to support his teammates. He's a captain of the team. He provides great leadership, so he wants very badly to play. But just this week, it makes sense to focus on the rehab.
How important is it to have PJ know that he's the starter from Wednesday when you get out there for the first moment of practice and making sure that he's getting his timing and everything down?
Yeah, kind of like we've talked about this before, Mary Kay. Sometimes as a backup you get that amount of lead time. Sometimes you don't, and that's just life in the big city when it comes to backup quarterbacks. So, he'll prepare like he always does. Dorian will prepare like he always does, but PJ will start this week.
When you say there's residual swelling, that's affecting the mobility and his ability to make normal throws. Is that the biggest issue with what's going on?
I don't have my doctor's hat on, but yes, I mean that's affecting how he's throwing the ball with that swelling.
Deshaun won't practice this week, but could practice next week?
Yeah, I'm focused on this week. So today he won't practice.
This week he will not practice?
He will continue his rehab throwing this week.
When Andrew talked to us at the bye week, he said, it seemed like everything was optimistic, that no one thought that this was going to be a long-term thing. I guess, when has that changed, and when has it become, I guess, a longer-term thing than everyone initially anticipated?
Yeah, I just think these are injuries. This is our quarterback. It's a shoulder injury, so you're taking in information every single day. Again, I can't tell you how much time Deshaun has spent trying to get back, but we'll continue to just make the smart decisions for our football team for him. But it's just that's injuries. You just have to go with the information that you have.
Has surgery ever even been discussed? Is that any kind of an option or anything? There's nothing in there that needs to be repaired?
Correct.
Work with PJ Walker and even Dorian when he's going through this rehab process, and how much of an impact does that have on the game prep?
Yeah, that quarterback room, Cam, I'm so impressed with those guys. I've been in a lot of those rooms. This one, they really support each other. They push each other. Game day, they're there for each other. And I think that's the point of playing football, playing offensive football, defense, you name it. But you need each other. You need your coaches in that room. You need that support. And I think Deshaun provides a great amount of that to those guys.
Last year when Jacoby was here, you had to play a different style of offense with him than with Deshaun. And now, this year, do you feel with PJ you're still able to play the same style of offense, or do you feel like you have to kind of do a little bit what you did with Jacoby last year and peel some things back?
I think every quarterback's different. I think if you're worth your salt as a coach, you do what your quarterback does best. So we always talk about that based on who's in there and that type of thing. But that's really what you have to do. Now, to say that you have a huge departure either way, that's why you hope to have enough offense that you can pivot in game, so to speak.
Comfortable are you with PJ and DTR as your backups, or do you feel like now with some of this uncertainty, perhaps a veteran quarterback might be good as a backup?
No, I'm comfortable with the guys we have.
Why was the running back released on Monday after you guys signed him, knowing that Jerome Ford was going to be injured?
Yeah, those are all things that you do, Tony, with your roster. You have to manage it based on injuries, people that are coming back. So
You do anticipate having 3 running backs out?
I do.
you know who it'll be?
Yeah, I do know, but you'll see later in the week.
Complimentary of what you saw from Seattle on tape. When they're at their best, what does that look like to you, and what's concerning?
Yeah, they're really good. The tape is impressive. I think from when you're playing them, and particularly when you're playing them at Seattle, their defense feeds off their crowd. I think Carolina had 8 false start penalties in that game. So you have to have a great road operation. But as an NFL team, you love going on the road. You love the challenge that presents. But Seattle's really sound with what they do. Coach Waldron does a really nice job marrying the run game and the pass game on offense. Like I mentioned, they have guys on the perimeter that can really hurt you. They have tight ends that can get down the seams. And I think, Walker's as good as there is in our game. He's really playing at that high level. And then defensively, sound. They play a bunch of different coverages. They play them well. They have incredible length in the back end, incredible length really at linebacker with Bobby Wagner. They tackle well. They get after the passer. They get off the defensive line. They penetrate. So it's a huge challenge, and it's one that week to week they change, and maybe they play a coverage that's a little bit different than what we saw last week. So you have to make a couple alterations to certain concepts that you do, but that's the fun part in our business.
You talked about some of the per-snap penalties there and how that can happen in that environment. I know you don't want to coach the aggressiveness out of somebody like Miles, for example, but what's a threshold for you where you're maybe comfortable with, hey, we had an extra offsides or 2 because we're trying to be aggressive? Where's that threshold for you with what's acceptable?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you want to get off the ball, and that's what we do. You don't want to give them free plays. You don't. Go ahead, America.
Your backup this game, and will
Yes.
Deshaun just sit?
Yes.
Why is it so hard to win in Seattle? I mean, even before you were a coach in the Kingdom, it was hard for anybody.
I can't speak to the Kingdom. What's the name of this one now? What's it called? Lumen. I remember Safeco. Was it Safeco? What's the Quest? Quest. Thank you, Scott. It's a really interesting thing because it's an open air stadium, but somehow they keep the noise in there. So we'll have it blaring out there for us this week. We've played in loud places before, and this is at the top of the list. I think about New Orleans, think about Minnesota over the years, places it can be deafening. So you have to have a plan, and you just focus on your operation really throughout the week. We'll work hard to make sure that everybody knows the plan and can go operate.
Walker not starting as hot as he would like, did that kind of go into making this decision or announcement early?
No, just doing what's best for the team.
Sean go to Seattle, or will he stay here and rehab?
He would go with us, yes.
Expect to be out without Jerome Ford.
We'll see. Yeah, I think I'll see how he progresses through this week, but we'll see.
I know we've talked.
Not practicing today, but are you optimistic that we're ready to go Sunday?
I am.
PJ, so go ahead, Scott.
With PJ, what have you liked, in the 2 games he's been out there? What have you liked about him, and then what do you think he needs to do a better job?
Yeah, I think, operating, getting us in and out of plays, and has made some big plays when we need them. In every single one in his games, we've had to make a play, and he's made them.
A lot about Miles and Dustin the last few days, but for them both to be Player of the Week honors in the AFC, and it's the first time since '94 that the Browns have had 2 in 1 week. Just talk about that.
Well, very well deserving. So whoever votes on that, they got this one right. Dustin's been awesome. I enjoy having him around. Good person, fits really well with our team. He was a game captain last week. The guys made him a game captain, and then he came and played like that, kicked like that. And then Miles, I mean, yeah, I'm running out of, you guys are the wordsmiths. He's doing things that not many humans can do.
How much is Dustin showing that he can consistently make those 50 plus, especially beyond, 54 and beyond? How much has that adjusted, altered your play calling, your approach to drives?
Well, a couple of those. I wish he wasn't attempting 50-yarders. I wish we moved the ball a little bit better. particularly after Miles gets the block, that comes to mind. So Obviously, it factors in. He's been very trustworthy. He's come through for us. Not to say that he's going to be perfect. Like, I understand how hard that is, but it does factor into our decision making. Yes.
The owner tweeted that the NFL acknowledged he missed a couple calls at the end of that game. Did you get that same memo?
Yeah, I'm not sure what memo, but I mean, you turn in plays each week to the NFL. I think you can turn in up to 10, and they get back to you with what they felt, was the correct call, but not going to share that.
You got a big breakdown of PJ fumble.
I'm not.
Without getting
Yeah.
in trouble, but have you ever gotten a oops,
Oh, yeah, all the time. And listen, and you know that. I mean, they're human. We've been on both sides of it. That's never going to change. I mean, you just play the game.
What were your thoughts on Game 7?
We done? Okay. Nice.
All right, there you go. Lots to react to. We will do so coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And be sure to check out the Browns social media channels daily to play the Browns digital scratch-off game for your chance to win club seats and other great prizes presented by the Ohio Lottery, the official lottery of the Cleveland Browns. Well, you heard it from Coach Stefanski there in his opening press conference that we used to start the show. P.J. Walker will start this week in Seattle. Deshaun Watson will rehab his shoulder. Well, is it that? It's not rehab because he hasn't had a surgery, so it's he'll attempt to get it. I don't know, right?
He used the word rehab.
I guess so. It's rehab. I guess it is rehab, even with a bruise. That is what it is.
But anything that you're doing to come back from an injury,
is that. So just from a timeline perspective, by the time no this week, so no practicing this week, no playing this week. He did say he would throw this week. That he would continue to do that. You're talking about all told, it will be at least 5 weeks with one full practice, one game walkthrough day before a game, and 5 throws in an NFL game since this injury first happened.
Well, last week he practiced
in Tennessee,
mostly fully on Thursday, fully on Friday.
Okay, so 1.5 practices then.
I'd say 2.
You want to go 2? All right,
P.J.
2.
Walker said he took 2 reps on Thursday.
Oh, well, there you go. All right, so then that's out
like
there. So you've got a Thursday and a Friday. So 2 practices. So everything else I had was right, though.
Yeah, everything else spot on.
And then you'll have something next Wednesday. We'll be doing this all over again to see if you're going to play against Arizona. I think from there's so many questions still with this, obviously, and Coach Stefanski's doing the best that he can. This will obviously just come down to Watson and what he feels. That's kind of where this thing is. I think what's interesting though is, now and hindsight is 20/20, of course, but obviously IRing him would have made the most sense knowing what we know now retrospectively. But the other part of this is, this is a guy who's going to go almost 6 weeks without playing 5 snaps and a couple of practices. Like the idea that somehow he's going to be what we saw for 3 quarters against Tennessee, to me seems farcical that's going to be the case. I mean, he's going to have to ramp up again. We don't have a bye week. So
whatever it is,
injecting him in, it's not like he's going to be great right away.
I think he'll be better than what we've been dealing with that isn't him.
True,
our
but
quarterbacks who are not him are completing 50% of their passes, 0 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and have a quarterback rating of 30.
Well, and I think
he'll be better than that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing here is we've seen rookies with short lead up times get ready, and I do think as you look back on this, you wonder would we have been better off taking the entire bye week, getting Dorian Thompson-Robinson ready to play NFL games. It was bad, obviously, against Baltimore, but he got an hour and a half to get ready to play.
Tough situation.
It's a brutal situation.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Obviously, they feel like PJ gives them the best chance to win, and PJ has won both games that he's played, and we have won. Now, could that be in spite of? But he made the couple nice throws on that final drive.
Really
the 3rd and 10 ball to Elijah Moore will be one that you certainly could not have won the game without. I do think that you're in a tough spot now, and in my mind, this is my mind, is I'm trying to be, I'm an optimist by nature. I'm hoping that they're shutting him down this week, other than, his throwing rehab and all of that, to get him ready for next week. Because as you look at our schedule, it does feel to me like that it would be important to have him get back for Arizona at home next week, so that you have at least a game, to your point, talking about rust, so that you at least have a game that should be winnable. That is a winnable game. You will be a heavy favorite in that game, probably a touchdown in that game, before you go at Baltimore, home Pittsburgh, 2 division games. Like, I feel like you want him to get some work and confidence built prior to going to Baltimore and taking on the Baltimore Ravens. That's my best case scenario hope.
Knowing what we know now, I think that is the very best case it can be.
That's right. Well, if it's not this week, so yes.
No, we know it's not this week, but then I think you also worry, like, is it next week too? Like, what, because
I think
you're never going to know. Like
the idea
that we're doing this on a daily basis is crazy to me.
Well, it's taking away from so much and joy of a 4-2 team that has overcome very drastic odds. We didn't win our 4th game last year until we beat Tom Brady at home. Think about that. Yeah. That was in our 11th game of the season. We're 4-2 right now, and a lot of it is centered around what's going on with this situation. The thing that would be hard is to go from September 24th to November 12th at Baltimore, they play Arizona this week. So they'll be
6-2.
6-2. Then I don't know who they play in week 9, but they're going to be at the top of that is a monstrous game. And if I'm looking at this from a schedule standpoint, I'm saying maybe we get lucky and we steal these here. Can we at least go 1-1 through these next 2 games? because that puts you at a worst case scenario 5-5 going in the final 7, which I think gives you a chance, if everything is good, to get into the playoffs. But obviously you'd like to be 6-4. So the question is, can we get 1-1 here and then 1-1 here? But I think you really want Deshaun to get his feet wet before you go to Baltimore.
So us and the Ravens schedules are inverted. So they've got Arizona this week, Seattle next.
Seattle where?
Baltimore. So they go to Arizona, Baltimore at home, or Seattle at home.
And then us at home.
Yeah, that's the way that goes.
Okay.
So, and it's, of course, it's not just this. As we are reminded of daily here in the studio, we're looking at Nick Chubb on the incredible image across the hall here. So you have that. Conklin are also we've been dealing with those for a long time. You have the Jerome Ford injury, which happened this week. So this is a mash unit offensively. To put it even remotely. I mean, that doesn't even do it justice.
No, you're playing. PJ Walker wasn't at the Greenbrier.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the team you were supposed to be playing with.
No.
Pierre Strong wasn't at the Greenbrier.
No.
Kareem Hunt wasn't at the Greenbrier. The 3 people who are going to touch the ball the most this Sunday were not at the Greenbrier.
Yep.
Not even there.
That's right.
One wasn't in the league. One was in Chicago. One was in New England.
Mm-hmm.
So this is in no way, shape, or form the team that you expected to be playing with at this juncture in this season. You are, and that is what it is. The Browns have got they've done a tremendous job.
It's crazy
of
to be
overcoming
4-2 with this.
It's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how different 4-2 would feel if our quarterback was healthy, and normally we would be feeling like let's go win the AFC North.
Even if you still had that guy.
Right.
Then it's different going, going out to Seattle. Okay, well, we can rely on Nick. He's going to get us 5 yards of carry, and we can do those things. And now
so that begs the question: do you get into? And these are Andrew Barry questions. Do you get into the market for Derrick Henry? Do you say, okay, Tennessee, you're having a fire sale?
I think you do. I think
Derrick Henry fills the need. We can get by with quarterback play. If we've got him, we've got a dominant defense. Heck, it was good enough for Tennessee for years. In fact, they were the number 1 seed with a great defense. They had one good receiver, A.J. Brown. We've got a good receiver in Amari Cooper, and I think overall more talented pass-catching core. And maybe you say, let's get Derrick Henry in here, and that's how we're going to win. And that gives Deshaun Watson time, I think, even more, not in terms of off the field, but in terms of how you're going to call the games until you feel like, and he feels like he is fully ready to rip, So that's them. Heck, maybe you can get him to throw in Tannehill as a bridge. I don't know. But if they're fire sailing at this point, I think.
Well, Philly got Bayard for a bucket of balls. So
bucket of balls.
Yeah. So I would make that.
Or maybe
call,
you say you got Henry and Hopkins there. We'll take them both.
Yeah. I think you and I remember. I mean, all off season we talked about the amount of pressure and all of everything that was into this season.
Yes.
Now it's all been derailed by injuries.
Yes.
Entirely. But through it all, you're still 4-2. And through it all, you can still attain what you want to attain. Now, you can't do any of this if he doesn't get back to what he was. That's just in terms of the highest ceiling is like no matter what you do, it's all a Band-Aid until he is what he was.
This season is still very much, and we use the expression on somebody's shoulders is the way that it would go. In this case, this season is very much on his right shoulder and his ability to get that healthy and then to go and be the guy we saw in those 3 quarters, as you mentioned, against Tennessee, and to be the quarterback that he was back in 2020 and 19 and 18, his 3 straight Pro Bowls, all of that. This team I think people out there who are looking for a solution outside of this building, the only solution is Deshaun Watson. He has to be the solution for this team. You can do things around it, but the reality is Kirk Cousins isn't walking through this door. I don't know why that name was. That doesn't even make sense.
No.
There isn't a quarterback out there that is going to change this. The only person that can get this team where we need to go and where everything was put into this season for it to go is Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, there's no alternate route for what this team was built for. You have a Super Bowl caliber defense. You now have a Super Bowl caliber special teams. So you have the things that are required for you to do it. But in order to do it in this league at this moment, you need to have an elite play caller or an elite quarterback. And right now, You don't have it. There is no path to get one. No one is going to trade one that has it. You mentioned Cousins. That was always nonsensical. Like, have you guys looked at the NFC?
Yeah.
Like, forget about the logistics of it all, but, like, have you looked at the NFC?
Yeah.
They're
right where they
Minnesota
need to be.
could win the division.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so no, none of that stuff was ever going to happen. So this is going to be about piecemealing together things until you are able to get him healthy and back to what he once was. And I am not naive enough to think that will be something like injecting a Madden player in off the bench. Like, he's going to have to be ramped up.
Which is why I want to see him against Arizona.
Is very good with Arizona, where he has a ramp-up game before he plays Baltimore.
Get him back that week. Bring in if you need to bring in somebody. Now, I like Jerome Ford. I like what he's shown us.
Yeah, but he could be out a couple weeks too now. We don't know.
You just don't know. You just don't know. And the point to me is, if we're going to have to win with this football team for, the next month is critical. Like, you cannot come out of the next month 4-6. You got to, at a worst case scenario, go 1-3. 2-2 puts you in, and then anything 2-2 or above, you're like, we're golden.
Yep.
6-4 going in that final 7-game stretch. But you got to figure out how you get there. Are you interested in a rental? And I don't know the answer to any of those things. I think it's so fun, much like we think that it is, man. Oh, well, Derrick Henry will just come here and he's going to be a beast. And maybe he would be. I mean, I think he would be. It's a similar.
Well, he'd be better than what you have.
Yes, I think that's fair to say. So I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what direction this will go.
It does have to change your perspective, though, if you're AB. I mean, I'm sure this has all been something that they're adjusting with in real time, but you just have no idea where the end of this is.
And that's the hard part of it.
In the meantime, you have to control what you can control.
Yes.
And the roster that you're putting out there to Seattle will take another Herculean effort out of the defense, like beyond defense scoring touchdowns, like all of that.
Seattle's D has been pretty good,
and their defense is good, and so they are going to get healthy on the offensive side. I think Metcalf's back this week, so I
would think so.
So they're going to get healthy on the offensive side. So like expecting to go out to Seattle as currently constructed, your defense is going to have to score 2 touchdowns, and that's not realistic. Somewhere around there, they're going to score. Seattle's going to score on us a little.
The thing is just about them recently, they've been weird offensively. It's like the whole is not greater than the sum of the parts.
I'm sure that you would
agree.
agree.
13 against the Bengals.
They did.
20 against
They
Arizona.
were in the red zone a lot, though. That was
I know.
a strange one.
And they did it again this one. He threw a pick Geno Smith threw a pick last week, and he had a fumble lost, which was his first of the season. But, yeah, he was like 18 of 24 for 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 113 rating, and they scored 20 points in a game that they completely dominated.
Yeah, they're a little bit of a different operation. So as we mentioned, P.J. Walker will start. He was signed to the active roster from the practice squad. Nate McCrary, Jordan Wilkins signed to the practice squad at running back.
Which makes, I mean, when you sign 2 guys, they're saying we've got problems at running back, which is why you even get into the point of maybe speculating about a trade at that spot. Because Jerome Ford's out. Kareem Hunt is banged up.
Bigly.
He's not practicing today.
Well, it was courageous what he did Sunday.
Very courageous. The guy's a hero.
Yeah.
And then you got Pierre. So basically, Pierre Strong is getting all of your first team reps today. And then I'm guessing Wilkins is your number 2 today in practice?
Probably. Yeah. He's been here. Yeah. So to be Strong and Kareem Sunday, provided Kareem can
go.
And he will. If there's any chance, he'll play. I mean, of course, we've seen that from him. We did get a bit of good news. As predicted, Dustin Hopkins earned his 2nd straight AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Myles Garrett wins Defensive Player of the Week. Both of those were pretty easy. 3rd time in his career he's the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. First time since 2021. Is that real? It seems impossible to me that a first-team All-Pro hasn't won a Defensive Player of the Week since 2021. But that is
which was the game here against Chicago. Justin Fields' first start when I think he had 4.5 sacks, and we had 9.
Malfeasance, coaching malfeasance.
Yeah,
what they did to Fields. Jeez. Yeah, that was brutal. That was also the infamous. Chomps snub of Bootsy.
It was,
which he never recovered from.
How could
Sadly.
How could he?
For Seattle, Uchenna Nwosu, season-ending pec surgery for the defensive end. And finally, congrats and happy trails to our friend Chase Winovich, who today announced his retirement after a 5-year career, including that season with us in 2022. He's a fun kid. I liked him.
Loved Chase Winovich, and tremendous guy. Shower in a different manner because of him. Always finish with the cold water at the end of my shower, thanks to Chase. So.
Yeah, that's his. How long you do that? How long do you go cold? So you go warm and get all
shower.
your
the normal
business
shower,
done.
and then when it's done, then I go cold, and it's like 30 seconds to a minute. Like, woo, when you start
Yeah.
being like, oh.
Yeah, I find I can do it the inverted. I can do the cold part first.
I got to end cold.
Yeah, I know. That's what they say. But I like the cold right out of the gates is I can do it. I can manage that.
Oh, then you know you got warmth coming. But
Yeah.
This is like, oh,
Yeah.
get your body going.
Miserable.
We just went Nwosu season-ending pec surgery. That's a big deal. So he was tied for their team lead last year with 9.5 sacks. He had 9.5 on one side. Darrell Taylor had 9.5 on the other. They were the only tandem in the league to have with both having 9 or more sacks and 3 or more forced fumbles. So Nwosu is a legit player. That is a loss for them from a pass rushing standpoint. Now they still have Boye Mafe, who was their second-round pick a year ago, who is the team lead 4 sacks this season, and Taylor. But Taylor got his first sack last week of the whole year. But Nwosu's a good player, and they had the ability to go kind of like we do, put Jaron Reed out there with the 3 defensive ends and get after the quarterback, and so losing him kind of takes that off the table, which for the Browns is a good thing.
They're going to be in the gorgeous
God, they're going to be beautiful.
Bright blue and kind of a Kelly green outfit
just
with the
gorgeous.
silver tops. It is spectacular.
It's great.
What are we wearing? Do we know? Are we white over white again? That would be kind of the traditional fit for that game, wouldn't you think?
I think
or white over orange pants. But I like the white over white better.
We have not announced yet.
Yeah. I know we're not wearing the white hats, though. This isn't a
Correct.
white hat game.
No. White hat. We will not be seeing them again until the Jets.
Near the end.
That's the last one. 3 times this year.
Okay. That's the way that goes. Yeah. All right. There you go. We will meet the Seahawks coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. For a team of injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Before we meet the Seahawks, they have a little bit of an acquisition. We were talking about the loss of the defensive end. Well, they address that now as Frank Clark is coming home, as it were, and not to Cleveland.
No, Frank Clark
from, of course.
Re-signing a one-year deal with the Seahawks. So his first time back in Seattle since 2018. A year he had a career-high 13 sacks for them. He would leave and go to Kansas City, where he was with Arwan Thornhill from 19 to 22, winning a couple of Super Bowls and being a 3-time Pro Bowler in those seasons, which is odd when you look at his numbers. He had 8 sacks, 6 sacks, and 4.5 sacks there, and was a 3-time Pro Bowler with Kansas City, which is wild. But he did. And then he was with Denver for 2 games this year. Last played on October the 8th against the Jets. Did not record any stats at all. He's got 58.5 career sacks, 2 career interceptions, and he has forced 14 fumbles. So pass rusher, he will certainly give them some help. I don't know if he is what he once was. He is not, he hasn't been over 5 sacks since 2020. He hasn't been over 6 sacks since 2019.
There you go. This Seattle team is coached by Pete Carroll. He's in his 14th season. He's overall 161, 112, and 1. He is a Super Bowl champion. He's a 2-time NFC champion. Seattle leads the series 13-6. Both teams are 2-2 in their last 4. Seattle has won the last 2 meetings. The last meeting was in 2019 in Cleveland. Seattle won 32-28. The last time out, they beat Arizona 20-10. For more on the Seahawks, we turn it over to Dr. Z.
Seahawks are a good team, pretty balanced. Number 15 overall total offense, number 13 passing offense. On defense, they've been very good. 12th in total defense, 6th against the run, 3rd in terms of yards per carry allowed, and they are the number 12 scoring defense, 19.7 points per game. They're +1 in the turnover differential on the year. And speaking of that defense, here's where they've been good. 3.49 yards per carry, that's 3rd. 87 yards rushing per game, that's 6th. They have 23 sacks, that is 5th most in the NFL. To be fair, they have played 6 games. 11 of those 23 sacks came against the New York Giants when they set a franchise record. So they have 12 sacks in their other 5 games. So that's not as scary as 23-6. They are, however, 28th on 3rd downs, giving up 46%. They are the worst team in the red zone, 82% touchdown rate, and 31st in goal-to-go situations at 90%. But since Jamal Adams came back in Week 4, they're playing big nickel and big dime almost exclusively with 3 safeties on the field, Adams, Quandre Diggs, and Julian Love. Since he's come back, they are number 1 in the NFL, 237 yards per game allowed. When they've got the football, they've got the AP Comeback Player of the Year, Geno Smith, who last year completed 70% of his passes, 4,282 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks, all career highs for him, and set franchise records in terms of completion percentage, passing yards, completions, and attempts last year. This year, they're 4-2. He's 68.6%, 1,391 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks, 93.6 ratings, only been sacked 13 times. He has lost 1 fumble. Do you know last year he became the first quarterback since Rich Gannon in 1999 to make their first Pro Bowl after being in the lead for more than a decade?
That's crazy. Gannon did come out of nowhere, though.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Then took
those Raiders. Won the MVP, didn't he?
He was the MVP. You're exactly right. All right, so that's when Geno Smith's throwing it, and when they do throw it, they've got 3 excellent weapons at wide receiver. Tyler Lockett, he leads the team with 27 catches. He's got 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's a 1-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, but most of that is as a returner. As a Pro Bowl, it was back in 2015.
Yep.
They've got DK Metcalf, 22 catches, 337 yards to lead the team, 15.3. He's got 2 touchdowns. He was a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro in 2020. And then the rookie, Jackson Smith-Njigba, who is out of Ohio State, 20th overall pick this year's draft. Last week with no Metcalf, career-high 63 yards, caught his first touchdown as well. They also have Jake Bobo. Don't go sleeping on Jake Bobo.
No way. Why would you?
Undrafted free agent, 6'4", 207 out of Duke. Last week, 4 catches, 61 yards, which is a career high in yards, and a touchdown on the season, 8 for 112 and 2 touchdowns. Last week, Jackson Smith-Njigba and Bobo became the first rookie pair to have a receiving touchdown in a game in Seattle Seahawks history. So how about that? So that's when they're throwing it. They got a bunch of tight ends, and they will play multiple tight ends. They are going to do a lot of 12 personnel, a lot of 13 personnel. And in fact, if you look around the league in terms of 2+ tight end sets, they're in them 37.7% of the time, fourth most in the National Football League. They've got Noah Fant, the former first-rounder from Denver, who was in the Russell Wilson trade. He's got 12 for 194, 16.2 yards a catch. Browns fans may remember him. Back in 2019, he had that 75-yard catch-and-run touchdown, which was the longest catch of his career. He also had 115 yards receiving in that game when the Browns lost at Mile High to Brandon Allen in his first-ever start. They also have Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson, and then Brady Russell at tight end. But they've got 3 tight ends who play a lot. Last week, Fant played 35 snaps, Dissly 33, Parkinson 31. And they like to run the football. They've got 2 second-round picks who are both very, very good. Kenneth Walker, 8th in the NFL in rushing yards. He's got 450. He is 4th in rushing touchdowns. Already has 6 this year. And he's 6th with 4 runs of more than 20 yards. Last year as a rookie, he had 1,050 and 9. This year it's 450 and 6 so far through 6 games. They also have Zach Charbonnet, their second rounder out of UCLA. He missed last week with a hammy, but on the season, 23 carries, 109 yards, 4.7 a pop. Does not have a touchdown yet. But they can run the football and run it effectively, which they have done so far this year. And then Geno Smith can sling it around. I mean, he's been pretty good. And where's he been good? Well, Geno Smith off of play action. 80% completions, 9.9 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a 125.7 rating. That's 4th in the NFL. Why is that important? Well, they run play action on 27.3% of their plays, 4th highest figure in the league. So you got to get him out of those, and he can push it down the field. 10 to 19 in the air, 23 of 27, 12.7 yards per attempt, 127.5 rating, and then 20 or more yards in the air, 13.2 yards per attempt, and a 100.5 rating, 9th best in the league. So they will stress you vertically. They can do that. And I mentioned they got Lockett. They have Metcalf. By the way, DK Metcalf, with the next touchdown he catches, will break the Seattle Seahawks record for the most touchdowns caught in the first 5 seasons of a player's career. He will break a tie that he is currently in with 2 players. Can you name them?
Give it to me again. Give me the stat.
With his next touchdown, DK Metcalf will break a Seattle Seahawks franchise record for most receiving touchdowns in a player's first 5 seasons. The record is at 37, where he is in a 3-way tie. Currently, the next one will be his 38th, tied with 2 Seattle Seahawks receivers.
Largent?
Correct. Stud. Buckeye.
Oh, is it Galloway?
Joey Galloway.
Joey Galloway.
Joey Galloway was good.
Yeah, dude, he flew.
Joey
Galloway.
So that's who they are. That's who they are on offense. So they've got some very talented players. Flip it around on the defense. They really upgraded their defensive front. They brought back Jaron Reed, who was a second-rounder with them in 2016. This is his second stint with the team. He's got 4 sacks, tied for the team league. And then their big free agent signing was Cleveland's own Draymond Jones. He's got 2 sacks on the season. So they got Draymond Jones, Jaron Reed, and then Mario Edwards up front. And Mario Edwards doesn't do a whole lot in his career unless he's playing the Browns. He had 1.5 sacks versus the Browns in that Week 3 game back in 2021 as a member of the Chicago Bears. He would finish that season with 2 sacks, by the way, but he did good against us. So those are the 3 up front. They play a 3-4. Then on the outsides, it's going to be Boye Mafe, their last year's second-round pick. He has a sack in 4 straight games, 4 on the season, tied for the team league. On the other side will be Darrell Taylor. He's got 1.5 sacks last year, though 9.5 sacks and 4 forced fumbles, which were 3rd in the NFL. We keep running into teams with dynamite inside linebacker tandems.
Yeah, we do.
You think about Baltimore, Niners, Colts, and now the Seattle Seahawks. Like, that's probably the 4 best in the league.
Yep.
And we're getting them 4 weeks in a row. Led by Bobby Wagner, back with Seattle, 8-time Pro Bowler, 9-time All-Pro, 6-time first-team All-Pro. He's had 100-plus tackles every season he's been in the league. 11 straight. He's going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. He right now has 63 tackles to lead this team, 2 sacks on the season as well. Next to him is Jordan Brooks, their first-rounder in 2020. In 2021, he set a Seattle franchise record with 183 tackles. In 2022, led the NFC with 161 tackles. Tore his ACL, though, at the end of that season. He is back right now. 2.5 sacks, a career high so far this season, 57 tackles. So they're good there. Then you get to the back end. Guess what? They're good there
good,
as
man.
well.
Yeah.
On one side, you have Reek Wolin, who was the Pro Bowler as a rookie 5th rounder, but he is struggling this year. If there's been one weakness there, last year he had 6 picks on the season, 16 passes defense. His 6 picks were tied for first in the NFL, even blocked the field goal, 3 fumble recoveries. He was unreal. This year, no interceptions, just 2 passes defense. He's given up a 73% completion allowed and a 120.5 rating. That's on one side. He's 6'4", big guy. The other side, Devin Witherspoon. He's their Sauce Gardner. First round pick, 5th overall this year. He already has a 97-yard pick 6 on his resume, 8 passes defense, which are 3rd in the NFL, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss. He's given up just 48% completions, 57.8 rating. You've got to be pretty familiar with him from Illinois.
He was an incredible bright spot for the Illini.
He
really
had to
was.
be.
Like, you could see it.
Like Jeff George, low those many years ago.
Or Deke.
There you go. Low those many years ago.
Yeah.
And then they'll play 3 safeties on you. Now, their nickel corner, you'll see him at times, Trey Brown, when they play a dime, which would be going with 3 corners and 3 safeties. He leads the team with 2 interceptions this season, but the 3 safeties they play, Quandre Diggs, Pro Bowler last year, he's got 4 interceptions in each of the last 3 seasons. He's got a pick already this year. Julian Love, they brought over from the Giants, a big free agent signing last year, career high 116 tackles and 2 picks with them. And then Jamal Adams, who's a 3-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. He is back, and they're using him all over the field. Now, he has 21.5 sacks, does Jamal Adams, the most by a defensive back since he entered the league in 2017. Second place, by the way, has 10.
Jeez.
But he doesn't have a sack since 2020. So if you think about that.
So it was wow, that's wild. So he was shot out of a cannon. I remember that with the Jets.
So he had 21.5 his first 3 years in the league.
Jeez.
17, 18, 19, 20. So first 4 years of the league. He was averaging 5
safety.
As a safety. 5 and over 5 sacks. By the way, in that 2020 year, he had 9.5. So that's what they are. They can fly to the ball. They are physical. As I said, they can get after the quarterback a little bit. They've been stout against the run. And the only thing they haven't been great at is getting off the field on 3rd down and in the red zone. So those are the money plays, and that's probably why things that they've lost games that maybe they feel like they should have won. But this is a good football team. This is a tall test. This is a tough place to play. The Browns have not won in Seattle, I believe, since like 1989 when they won 17-7. November 12th, 1989 is the last time they won in Seattle. That's right. Yep. Last time we were there, they lost 30-13 in a game started by, it was Russell Wilson against John Football.
Little John Football.
For you.
The one thing I will say about Seattle is they have really one of the strangest years going. They come off of high expectations. You're a playoff
team a year ago.
They get drilled at home by the Rams to open the season.
Which
and
was a shock.
They go to Detroit and win in overtime. Detroit was coming off the big win against Kansas City. They struggle against Carolina at home. They did handle the Giants, but then they were inept in the red zone against the Bengals in that game a couple of weeks ago. And then even last week, it's 20-10 against Arizona. Like they have not played as clean as I think they thought that they would be playing.
That's what I'm saying. It just hasn't been pretty.
No.
Like they should have beaten, and this speaks to again how talented they are, but they should have beaten the Bengals. They should have pummeled Arizona in their last 3 weeks. It's 24-3 over the Giants in a game that was completely dominated. They lose, like they play the Panthers 37-27.
That's what I just said. Like
that's wild.
And that game was one where, if memory serves, I feel like I remember that on Red Zone. I want to say that Carolina jumped out early on them, and then they came back and make it right. That's how it was in my mind's eye.
That's what they did to Miami recently.
Yeah, Carolina's had a few of those where they've done that. But yeah, there was an expectation that they would really take a step. They're 4-2, same as us, but they've had a very strange journey to get to 4-2. By the way, same as us. Good job to you on all of that. Coming up next, we will attempt to guess the spreads. He has absolutely crushed that. You'll hear from Denzel Ward as well. We'll also go around the NFL trade deadline with some other things coming up here in this final hour. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Rumpke Waste Recycling, great place to start and build a career. Check out the latest opportunities to join the team that's working together to keep your community clean and green. Learn more at rumpke.com. We had the dog biscuit things from last week from the good people.
Oh yeah, the special box from Milk Bone.
Those were good. Yeah, so
baby.
I've been giving them some of those to Buddy, and somebody on one of my socials must have picked up on me doing this and talking to the blonde about it, and so we were talking. I said, maybe I started getting fed like all of this farmer's dog nom nom, like all this direct order dog food stuff that's got to be frozen and refrigerated and human grade and all of this stuff. And I'm going, well, this might be pretty good for Buddy Garrity. Maybe I'll look into this. I'll see if we do this. This all makes sense to me that he could have fresh food and that'd be the way that goes. And this
wonderful.
Seems healthy. It
sounds like
wonderful.
a treat.
So then upon doing so, I walked downstairs last night, and he's kind of half gagging on something, and I open his mouth, and he had nosed his way into the downstairs bathroom and was eating snot-filled Kleenexes. And I said, you know what? This guy doesn't really care what he eats.
No.
He'll eat anything.
He does not care.
He does not
He's
care.
a dog.
He will eat anything that is put in front of him.
My puppy does the same. Kleenexes, especially
They're
if someone has a bloody nose.
Oh, yeah. On it.
Over.
So I'm this far into his throat, yanking out Kleenex.
Oh, yeah.
My wife is panicking because she thinks he's going to bite off my arm. I'm like, it's fine.
Your hand has been in some tough spots recently.
Whatever.
A lot of it
he'll end
brother.
up with a stomach ache, and then he'll go eat some grass and deal with it.
That's the way it goes. Yeah.
That's how. Yeah.
Amazing.
And hopefully they're smart enough that they figure it out and don't do it again.
The juxtaposition of, we should get him gourmet direct-to-meal or food and him eating a bloody Kleenex.
No.
All at the same time. There you go. That's a Tuesday. How's the debutante doing?
Seems good.
Seems like
she's got
she
a
has
new
her
water
stride
bottle.
back.
She's very excited about it.
What makes it so great?
Her birthday was last weekend.
Oh, boy.
Flowers at the hotel, ice cream cake. Crazy.
Debutante.
From who?
Why are you surprised?
From quite the weekend in Indianapolis for the debutante.
You don't become a debutante with not getting flowers and cake on your birthday. It's part of the operation.
And confirmed.
Sheesh.
All right, you've been on a heater on this. Are you ready?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think he's in the right frame of mind.
Well, this has
and
been
if
a
I can
distracting
screw it up
week.
even more, then I'm going to keep doing this.
No breaking news. I don't need any medical reports. Let's just keep it above board here, kids, for the next 15 minutes and see how the kid does.
All right, so this is week 8?
Yeah. I think you're 6-1. 6-1 so far.
How many buys we got this week?
I don't know.
Do we have any?
I'm sure we have some. Don't we always? It seems like we're at a point now where we always have some. It doesn't say on here buys. So.
No, there's not a bye week this week, which
that?
again leads me to go, why did we have a bye week so early?
And we had 6 teams off last week. Why wouldn't we just had
spread it out
4
a little bit more.
and then 2?
Yeah, there are no buys this week.
No buys. So I got it. So that puts us at a winning week is 9. Push is an 8.
Yep. All right, you ready?
Climbing, little traveling music.
I don't know
here
if
for
I'm
the
ready.
boys.
I don't know if I am ready. Coming
Buddy,
up.
look at the sun's starting to peek out. I would love.
I don't know
nothing
why you're
more.
not playing golf today.
I would love nothing more than the
I've
next
got
level is
obligations.
next.
I got boards. I got children.
The next level is next. Who gets hurt?
Not me.
Doesn't she have her temporary permit?
Yeah, but I have to be there.
It's minor.
She doesn't get to just drive.
When do you take her on the freeway?
I wanted today, but she didn't want to. So we'll see.
Yeah, you need to go. You need to head eastbound on was it 422?
Yeah, and give her some of that.
Go
action.
east. Go that action.
Yeah.
Towards
Towards
put
Warren.
She doesn't need to be in the mix.
The truth is that once you get on the freeway in our particular automobiles,
yeah, but you're not going to have her do that, right? You're going to give her a real experience.
Yeah, we'll have her.
You're not going to double click it into auto.
I don't know why it's so much better than driving on a 1-lane road or a 2-lane road, 1 lane each direction, where the speed limit's 40. Like that, I think you have much more room on the freeway when we're all rowing our boat in the same direction.
Well, there's some validity to that, but you are far more worried about what's going on around you on the freeway.
Yeah.
There's people coming.
You got to learn at some point.
Yeah. Throw them in the water, see if they can swim.
Yes.
Bucks at Bills, Thursday night football in Buffalo.
Bills minus 7.5.
Nope. Bills minus 8.5. They've had 8.5 3 of the last 4 weeks.
8.5.
Getting way too much credit right now.
Nobody knows what to do with them. I don't know what to do with them.
I don't
I
know.
hate now. I'm so gun shy with them. I don't even want to look at it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Sunday, 1:00. Just ram it, baby, at Dallas. Just ram it at Dallas, 1:00. Arlington, Texas. AT&T.
This has to
Stadium.
this
Gorgeous
is the
uniform
Fox
matchup,
number
by the
one
way.
game.
Yeah.
And it's because World Series is at night.
Dallas.
By the way, Arizona, Texas.
I know, they wanted
Put it in a
Philly.
body bag.
Uno will be watching. He's
Is he
watched
like-
every one of these things.
You're the one, Uno.
Yep. You're darn right.
Hence
The
your name.
one.
Game 7 of the ALCS would have been the third most watched college football game on Saturday.
It's amazing.
Wrap your head around that.
Football. I
And
can't.
football competes with itself. College football competes with itself.
Yeah.
All right. Ram it at Cowboys. I think I'm going to put this in right now as the beautiful uniform of the game of the week if the Rams wear the blue over yellow.
Cowboys -6.5.
On it. Exactly. That is unbelievable that you nailed that.
Why?
I find that unbelievable. I
Why?
think it's too high.
It's Cowboys though. You have to add. I would have done
Yeah, you gotta
5,
add it.
and you got to add a point,
Yeah.
a point and a half. So I went 6.5 because that
Yeah.
could have got me to 6, or they may have gone all the way to 7.
Yep. Vikings at Packers. Vikings at Packers. Still no Justin Jefferson.
Vikings -2.5.
Pick 'em.
That's absurd. That's absurd.
That's
They just
bad.
lost
Bad
to
job.
the Broncos.
Yeah, they suck. They really suck. I mean, that's not a.
But that makes me feel like they're going to win
In
that
a
game
hurry.
then. This feels like
Feels
Minnesota's
like that Green
Who's
Bay
it-
wins it.
who's not-
picking?
yeah.
Right. Atlanta at Tennessee. Tennessee and the Oilers throwbacks. God bless C.J. Stroud. I mean, that kid's about the most popular guy in Houston already. He was on Bussin' with the Boys today, Taylor Lewan show, and he said those uniforms should be ours. Those uniforms belong to Houston.
He's right.
And he's right.
What was it again?
Atlanta.
I wonder if
at
How
the
does
Titans.
Atlanta have such an easy schedule? Atlanta -3.
Got it. Atlanta -2.5.
I wonder if they eventually take this off this week. If Tennessee starts fire sailing here.
Well, it's in play.
Take
it's
what
certainly
off?
in play. Like the number will
Takes
reflect
it
the
off
fire sale.
Takes it off the board.
Yeah.
Oh.
Depending on if or when the fire sale happens. New Orleans at Indy. New Orleans at Indy.
They love New Orleans. Indy looked pretty good against us, though.
Chris
I think
Olave's
they love
driving
New
fast.
Orleans, though.
He is driving fast.
I hate this. New Orleans. New Orleans -0.5.
So close. Indy -1.
Should have done Indy -0.5. I knew it was one way or the other.
Patriots at Dolphins. Patriots at Dolphins, who, as Armando Salguero reports, the reason they don't wear their throwback uniforms more, owner Stephen Ross likes the uniforms that he okayed back in 2013. So he's being stubborn.
Dolphins.
Apparently, the brass in Miami, like their front office, has been like, dude, really?
Let's do this.
Let's do this. You want to sell some merch?
Yeah.
Like, these are gorgeous. We play better in them. They look gorgeous. Let's go. And he's like, no.
Dolphins. Patriots bump after their win. Dolphins -7.5.
Dolphins -9.5. No bump. No bump. The Battle of New York.
Ugh.
Grossness. Jets at G-Men at MetLife. G-Men, the home team designated in this.
I have
Which
no
is
feel for
hilarious.
any of these. I have no feel for this at all. Pick 'em.
It's a neutral
It's
site.
the only thing I could win. I could only win if I hit it right on. Pick 'em.
Jets -3.
2 and 5.
Yep. Jacksonville at Pittsburgh.
This is a big one.
Jaguars at Pittsburgh.
Huge.
This will be the.
We'll watch this
This will be
leading
my
into ours.
1:00 game that I watch. Yeah.
Jags -2.
Got it. Jags -2.5. Yep. Eagles at Commies. Eagles at Commies.
Eagles -7.
Nailed it. Eagles -6.5.
4 and 5.
Texans at Panthers. Battle of the number 1 and number 2 picks.
Texans -3.
Got it again. Right on.
I feel like that number needs to be a little bigger.
On the road, 3.
Carolina's garbage.
They are.
They are.
They are very much. Browns at Seahawks.
Seattle -3.
Got it. Seattle -3.5.
What's our record here right now?
He's 6-5. He's just 4 in a row.
I went 4 in a row. 6-5. Big comeback.
Chiefs at Broncos. Chiefs at Broncos.
Chiefs -9.5.
Seven.
I was going to say 7.5, but I was like, there's no way.
There's no way. Yeah, how's that possible that they're only going to win by 7 there? Ravens at Cardinals. Ravens at Cardinals.
Ravens -7.
Ravens -8.5. We go to the Bay Area, Santa Clara to be precise. Cincinnati at the 49ers.
Nance Romo, another good one.
Nance Romo. Bengals coming off the bye week.
Niners -5.
Niners -5.5.
So I got it.
You got it.
That felt Vegas zone. It wasn't
So
7
excited.
with the Niners.
He was.
Well, that's a big one.
That's a tough read for me with Cincinnati coming off the bye.
I thought about
health.
3, but I'm like,
Yeah.
and then I thought about 7 because they just put the Niners 7 on everybody.
Yeah.
And then I said, what's in the middle of that?
What's in the middle, baby?
5.
Bears at Chargers.
Sunday Night Football.
Wow. Good luck with that.
Thank God it'll be
I
flying
look forward to
home.
the CBS, to the NBC people when they pick their games, to all of them pick the Chargers, and none of them use the spread to do so. I really look forward to that. I think that's very fun. They did that this week against Philly. They all picked Philly with no mention of the spread. Oh, really? You don't say.
Chargers -4.5.
Chargers -8.5.
Excuse me?
That's right. I mean, that's nuts. 8.5?
It's a lot.
They are
for a
2
Chargers
and 4.
team that isn't great.
All right, this is for a push.
This is for the push. This is for the push. Raiders, Leos, Detroit, Monday night.
Lions -7.
Under the old rules, you would have won. Under the new rules, you do not. It is
6.
8.
8?
8. Second L. Second L.
You know what? I told you I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
I'm not pleased.
There's a lot going on.
A lot going on.
Yeah. Which of those is the one that you were most off on? Chargers.
Vikings being
Vikings being a pick'em.
Vikings.
Yeah.
Chargers is high. Is it Dolphins Patriots? That's 10.
That's 9.5. Yeah.
Yeah, that's high.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And then there's a pick 'em.
And a pick. Yeah. That's all happening there, kids. All right, coming up next, Z sits down with Denzel Ward. We will have that for you. He'll from Grant Delpit as well. Talk about how good this secondary's been. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Very happy now to be joined by Browns multiple-time Pro Bowl cornerback Denzel Ward. And Denzel, are you guys able to kind of exhale after these games a little bit? These are two back-to-back wild ones.
Yeah, definitely. I think exhale a little bit, but then we just got to refocus and get our focus on the next opponent. And for this week, that's Seattle, and seeing what they're good at and how we could go out there and win that game.
All right, let's go back to last week, though. First interception of the season. You didn't want to let MJ get ahead of you on that board. What happened on that play as you broke it down? Because that was unbelievable the way you were able to undercut that route.
Yeah, so I had the deep zone. So just reading through my keys and seeing they had the play action. So I was coming up the field to run at first and make sure that I could fit my gaps and everything. But seeing Pittman started to leak out, I was able to flip my hips and get my eyes back on Minshew, seeing he let the ball go and get my hands on the ball. And wish I could have scored it for the team, but guys did a great job, though.
Yeah, and that feels good, right, when you guys get those big turnovers. And this was a weird game for the defense because you guys did give up some third down conversions. You did give up some yards and big plays, but you took the football away, and ultimately that was enough.
Yeah, that's football. I mean, plays are going to happen. This is an NFL.
1 minute.
And those guys did that over there on the Colts, and but our guys did a good job, but still making plays as well. Like you said, getting takeaways and getting the ball to help our team win.
What do you guys take away from this film? What can you learn from this game? Because in other games that it seemed pretty easy, and so I don't know if you can take things away from that. But this one, you have things that you can learn from. What's a big takeaway?
Yeah, a lot of things to learn, but just really executing our assignment. So finishing plays, executing our assignment, and just going back and watching and seeing what we messed up on and fixing those keys.
All right, you mentioned Seattle. We don't know if they'll have DK Metcalf, but they do. He's a Pro Bowl wide receiver. They've got an Ohio State Buckeye, Jackson Smith and Jigba, who just caught his first touchdown. They got Tyler Lockett, a multiple-time Pro Bowler. They can throw it around the yard a little bit. What do you see from them? Different sizes, different skill sets as well.
Yeah, definitely got a lot of playmakers over there. Got the quarterback, Geno Smith, able to get his players the ball. Like you said, DK, Jackson Smith, and Lockett. And just playmakers out there. They're going to present a challenge for us that I think we're up for and looking forward to it.
Denzel, thanks so much.
You're up.
Hey, thank you.
Monster test this weekend for the secondary with these three receivers and Geno.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
it's a good one.
It is a good one. It is a good one. But
are these guys second to Cincinnati? And a healthy Miami would be up there. Who's the third in Miami, though? The first two in Miami are so great.
Cedric Wilson, maybe?
Yeah.
No,
it's Cincinnati would have the best when healthy, 1, 2, 3, and theirs might be second.
Theirs is good, and Jackson Smith.
Jackson Smith, he's got to go
more.
Yeah,
and then I would say
Rams are quickly progressing up there with Nakua the way he's played. I don't know who the third is.
Minnesota healthy is
Addison,
Jefferson, and KJ Osborne solid.
Yeah,
or you could even call Hawkinson the
sure.
third. I mean, Philly's got to be in the conversation just because of A.J. Brown and Devontae, even though A.J. Brown's just singularly
it's like one guy
dominant right now.
Yeah. Grant Delpit was available as well. Before we'll get back into that secondary conversation in a second. Let's hear from Delpit first on Miles and what he's done so far this year.
Yeah, he's a freak, man. He's one of a kind, really. I think he's the best edge rusher in the game. And we're gonna see that throughout the whole season. Not too many guys jump over that was crazy. But he never fails to surprise me. So he's playing championship ball right now. So hopefully keep it up.
Here is Grant Delpit on the run defense and the opportunity to improve.
Man, I think that tackling, he's okay, but it could be better. This guy, Ken Walker, I think he leads the league in missed tackle rate. So, that's something we have to clean up for sure. Gap integrity, man, staying in the gap. It just wasn't our brand of football, and I think that we see that. We're going to really clean it up and come out so far.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the defense was as exposed as they had been all season long, and yet they're still responsible directly for touchdowns. So which was something they hadn't done. They hadn't turned the ball over before, but they'd stymied everybody moving the ball. This time, Indy moved the ball, but you got the game-breaking turnovers, and you end up with the win. The defense will need to bounce back on a little bit less bending as we had against Indy. Yeah. Here's Grant Delpit on that.
So that's the challenge. Take a game like that and reverse it. You know what I mean? And we came out with the win. So I think Coach Tomlin said, "I'm not gonna apologize for winning." I took that line from him. But we got to be better, and I think we see what we messed up at. Correct it and go into this. I've never been to Seattle. I heard it's a great city, great crowd. They say it's the hardest stadium to play in, one of the hardest. So I'm looking forward to the challenge.
How much do you put into just the human nature of Indy wasn't anything scary offensively. The last time that they had played, they were beaten pretty badly.
Yeah.
Human nature is, okay, we don't need to be all at our best all the time. Like, you don't want that. Anybody who coaches at any level, you don't want that. But they're not immune to it either.
No.
And I do wonder if there was a little bit of, like, these guys really don't have much. And then all of a sudden, like, Jonathan Taylor looked like old school Jonathan Taylor. And Minshew's making
I think it's
plays.
a couple of things. On the first third down, they get a conversion. You miss 2 tackles. Downs is able to score through. On that same series, the second third down, Miles jumps off sides. I think Denzel and I think everybody kind of just stopped.
Yeah.
And then got a little discombobulated. That leads to a chunk play touchdown. They got another big pass off of a offsides. We have to clean those things up for sure. And then I think, there was the missed tackle on the slant, and all of a sudden that's 75 yards. We got to eliminate those big plays. I think we still did a lot of things well. I do think that we are struggling with, and this is something that's going to need to get cleaned up certainly before Baltimore's. We are struggling with RPOs. I mean, I go back to it. Minshew came into that game with 6 carries for 8 yards on the season. He ran, 3 times for 27 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 17-yarder on a third down. So we've got to get a little bit better on those RPOs. And that's how Baltimore got going and started gashing us with some of those RPO looks. And sometimes it'd be Lamar, sometimes it was Gus Edwards, sometimes they'd pull it and he'd throw it. But I think this defense is going to be I believe very, very strongly in this defense. I think that they will bounce back, and this is more of a traditional team. Geno Smith on the year has 52 yards rushing, no rushing touchdowns. He's not out there trying to run a ton. So I think that we should be a little bit better against more of a traditional style offense.
Yeah, that's interesting on the RPOs going forward. Obviously,
that's been
Baltimore's
tough for us.
coming around to have to play at them again. But this defense has obviously been the strength of this team. The secondary has been very, very good all season long. Did you guys watch? What did you watch last night? Did you guys watch any of the NBA? Opening night of the NBA? You had opening night NBA. You had Game 7 of the NLCS. Hockey did something they'd never done before. Every team played at all at one night. And they did. John Buccigross did a frozen frenzy.
Did the Blue Jackets end up playing?
They did. They played at 8 o'clock. It was an hour and a half after supposed because the electricity went out in downtown Columbus last night. It was down for 4 hours, so it was a pretty big deal. I kind of watched a little bit of all of it, and I found that the NBA was a very tough watch because of how the approach that they have to the regular season, like the not give a damnness that is very evident. And it's kind of just pass the ball around until somebody shoots a 3. There's just nothing much to it. It's either a turnover and an outlet and a dunk, or it's just pass around until somebody shoots a 3. Like, there's just not much. I watched the Lakers and the Nuggets, and it was really uninspiring, quite honestly.
The NBA needs to start on Christmas Day.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Like, I didn't even think about it last night.
No, and I mean, you think about it as
I didn't even
how
think
much
about
it used to be. Oh, opening night. Like, for any sport, I'm excited. I'm excited for opening day.
Yeah,
I'm excited
Cavs
for
are
first
at the
puck
Nets
drop
tonight. I
right.
hope
You get excited for that.
I want them to win. Like, I've got friends that work over there. Like, those are good guys, good team, likable.
Yeah,
I root for them, but like, wake me up when it's April 1.
Yeah, this time of year, it's really hard, and they had a chance to go that December, early December, middle
July.
December till July, and be out, and you could have kind of owned things a little bit more versus this. Like, you get swallowed up.
They're such a distant third to the NFL and college football that it's so why even compete? Get your feet wet, as he said, start at Christmas. Have it go there, and then you're into July, and nothing else is going on in July.
Yeah,
you're out, finished right before teams open training camp. Like that last weekend, that Sunday would be your Game 7. Next week, teams start training camp. Boom.
College football starts to tail off in December once you get through November. Like, you could even start the first week in December. Fine.
Yeah.
But like, this is.
It's just
what are you
swallowed.
doing?
Like, all of them do. The hockey stuff gets swallowed, and what ends up happening is, in the NBA, I still think it tries really hard to be like a true national sport. What I mean by that is, if you don't have a rooting interest in a game, their thinking is that you will still watch it if the matchup is good. Like, they still have the same marketing campaign they had when we were kids, which is they pumped the stars, right? So they tried to do that last night. It's LeBron and Steph and Durant and all of these people playing. But these sports now, it's like this in Major League Baseball, where in the individual markets, like in Philly, the World Series is a really, really big deal. But if you're not from that market, there is no give a damn outside of it. That's why they were begging for Philly to get into the World Series, because it's a big market that would be in the World Series. So instead they get Texas, which, like, the Rangers, where are they even in Dallas in importance? Obviously, Cowboys, and then a gap. I don't even. Are the Rangers second? I don't know if they're even second in Dallas.
Probably not.
I wouldn't think. Is it University of Texas? Is it Mavericks? Is it high school football? I mean, I'm not sure what it is in Dallas.
Isn't TCU right there?
They're in Fort Worth.
They're Fort Worth.
Yeah,
well, which is
SMU's in Dallas, but I don't know. That's always the fight. Is that of all of that? So, and then Arizona's Arizona. That's a pretty passive market to say the least. But it's tough in the individual markets. There's a great deal of give a damn, but in those other sports, the one trick that football has been able to do, and the NFL has done it for a long time, and now college football is doing it. College football is a regional sport, but for 2.5 decades, they were on national television every Saturday, and now all of a sudden, 8 million people will watch Alabama play Tennessee. You can't get more regional than Knoxville and Tuscaloosa. And people all over the country care about it now.
Of course.
And so that's what's happened here in the last 20 years. So, yeah, I mean, to drop an opening night, that's tough.
And they even went with Warriors, Suns.
They played
LeBron,
the hits, LeBron and Joker.
And Nuggets, who just won it.
Yeah, I watched a little of the LeBron and the Lakers and Djokovic game with the Nuggets. It's a tough watch. So, yeah,
well, and then if you're going to sit guys every fourth day or fifth day.
Well, this happened last night. Now the NHL's doing that. The Leo Carlson kid, no one even knows his name unless you're a big-time hockey kid. He went second overall. Adam Fantilli, the Blue Jackets, played third. This was the only trip for Carlson into Columbus, and they gave him the night off last night because he's 19 years old. Just like last year, that happened with Luka with the Cavs.
Yeah.
Remember he bailed like the day of the game?
What do 19-year-olds need nights off for?
I have no idea, man. I could go strong. 19.
19?
Yeah. I'm living, baby. I mean,
please.
Come on.
I was a professional.
Of course you were. Of course you were.
I think all three of us were.
I think you have that right. Browns fans, visit your local Tide Cleaners during the month of October for a chance to win tickets to upcoming Browns home games. You'll be automatically entered to win with any purchase. NFL trade deadline is less than a week away. A lot of rumors out there. We'll have a little fun with those rumors coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. Sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. If your game plan for the season includes buying or selling a home, Howard Hanna has the answer, delivering a winning strategy for breaking down the game of real estate. As the market leaders in Northeast Ohio, more buyers and sellers trust Howard Hanna to be on their winning home team. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today for more. We have a little breaking news on the Cavs front and also connected to the Browns front, huh?
Give it.
From the Cavaliers themselves.
Yeah. Let's go.
Myles Garrett, a Cleveland Browns All-Pro, has finalized a deal to purchase a minority stake in the Cleveland Cavaliers.
It's awesome.
Garrett joins an exceptional group of investors led by Cavs chairman and governor Dan Gilbert. Garrett will also serve as an official Cavaliers brand ambassador.
I think this is awesome.
I do too. Sweet.
It's awesome, and I think Miles's love of this area is just one of the coolest things. I mean, we've seen this now in many different examples. It's great.
From Dan Gilbert, as a leader on and off the field, Myles has become a Cleveland icon and shares in our organization's commitment to being a transformative force for good across the region. We are honored to welcome this longtime friend of the team as our new partner and investor. Myles' passion and commitment to the city he loves will allow us to reach new communities and continue to build the successful future of this franchise. From Myles, I have admired the Cavaliers organization's hard work, tenacity, and dedication to the community since my early days in Cleveland. To have the opportunity to join this impressive and purpose-filled franchise under Dan's leadership is truly a dream come true.
That really sounds like Myles said all of that. I'm
Don't
thrilled
be so
for
cynical,
him.
dude. Come on.
I'm thrilled for him.
Everybody's statements are their own words.
They all are their own words. You don't. Yeah, Dan said all of that too. Yeah, that was perfect. That's a good job, man. That's really
awesome.
Cool. Very, very cool of Myles on that. And by the way, now if the Cavs play the Bucks, we got a little internal strife. Internal strife here in the building. We are a little less than a week from the NFL's trade deadline, Gibbe. I think you should MC this.
Oh, that's what I was figuring you would ask.
I would like you to do this.
I would too.
I put it together. We'll have a
Let's
little fun.
Let's go.
Griff,
Let's have a
you all
little
right
fun.
over there. Don't go dying on me.
He won't.
We'll turn the camera on Griff. I don't know what's going on over there. Officially less than a week until the NFL's trade deadline.
All right.
We'll have a little fun. Start off, number one, which defensive end is most likely to be dealt? Danielle Hunter or Chase Young? Bishop, I'll start with you.
I mean, I from a football standpoint, it feels like Chase Young because it seems like Minnesota is going to try and go make a playoff. So you can't trade Danielle Hunter and try to make a playoff. So I'll go Chase Young. Washington is kind of floundering. They didn't want to sign Young to an extension this offseason. He's having his best year. And oddly, they seem like intent on not paying guys they drafted. To me, it feels like Chase Young.
I would agree with that. Danielle Hunter is the NFL's leader in sacks, and to your point, the Vikings are very much in the mix.
Yeah.
Very much in the mix.
Uno, you told me earlier they would be the final playoff team in? Or they were 8? Like, they're right there.
Yeah, they're right there.
They play the Packers this week, who suck. If they be 4-4, I mean, Detroit's not impervious. They just got drilled by Baltimore. Like, they can absolutely hang. Cousins leads the NFL in passing touchdowns and is second in yards. He's 293 a game. They're spinning it. And they're without Jefferson. He's missed 2
Addison
weeks.
looked like a star.
He looks like a star, and now they're going to put Jefferson back with him in a couple of weeks. Yeah, they're dangerous.
Yeah, I don't
Their losses
see the
were all
Vikings
one-score losses,
here.
too. They were all tight. All their losses were tight. They shouldn't have lost to the Chargers. That was a joke.
Yeah. Found this one. Thought it might be interesting to bring up. Which QB in Tennessee is more likely to be dealt? Tannehill or Malik Willis? Now, and the only reason why I brought this up, I looked at him like, maybe. Like what the 49ers did with the guy they took at number 3 a couple of years ago. Like,
well, they obviously like Levis more.
For him.
Yeah, they like Levis more.
Zagura, I'll start with you.
What do you think, Z?
Who wants to trade for Malik Willis?
Yeah, it'd be somebody who had evaluated him high.
He's still in the third round, so nobody evaluated him that high.
Not that high, no.
Tannehill,
I think that's interesting. Like if they're going to play Levis this week, Tannehill's hurt.
They should have traded him. But again, what's
the value?
What's his value?
Maybe a place like us where you have a situation that's not locked in.
That would have to be that like Deshaun goes on IR for the season this week, which is not happening.
Yeah.
He's the quarterback. He is the solution. But Tannehill, I think, could win in the right scenario.
Yeah.
It's just something fascinating. I was reading about it, and they're like, the reason why they're talking about playing Levis and Willis is the fact that they're trying to showcase Willis and maybe get a little action on the trade front.
He can't handle.
What is he doing?
He's heartbroken.
Yeah, he's on. Yeah.
What are you doing?
He's heartbroken. You saw what was happening to Clemson. Clemson's back to being Clemsoning. It's breaking his heart.
Yeah,
Can't take it. He was there for the glory years.
Internally, it's been hard for him to watch.
Yeah, very difficult. Yeah.
All right, stay or go. Which guys end up staying with their respective teams? Which ones could be traded by next Tuesday's 4 p.m. deadline? Jared Judy, Denver.
Stay.
I don't think anybody wants to touch him.
Well, and also I think if you're Sean Payton, like, I want to see what this looks like without Russell Wilson. Let me find a way out of this, and then I'll go that way.
Zagura?
They were reportedly shopping him before the year, so maybe they still are. I think that he's more likely to go than Sutton if one of the two were to go. Sutton right now has been kind of the number one receiver every week, so I think that you could see that. I think you could see those guys. I think you could see Judy on the move, and it's Jeudui, not like Judge Judy.
That's true.
I may have been writing it rapid fire after some things changed in our building.
Yep. Go ahead.
So I'll take ownership of that.
Okay.
Cortland Sutton, Bishop, Zagura.
I think he's got that right.
Okay.
He stays.
Derrick Henry, running back, Tennessee. Bishop.
I hope so. I hope he goes. I think for his own. I mean, you brought us up earlier. It would make sense, and I would love to see him play on a team of consequence here towards the end of the season. I mean, the time in Tennessee is up. He was unbelievable for a long period of time, but I think in the right situation, he could still be very effective and give a little bit of a boost to a team that's trying to contend. So I say go.
I think he goes. I think DeAndre Hopkins goes. I think both of those guys will be out of Tennessee. I think Tennessee is done.
All right, Derrick Henry. I'll give you these options because these are the highest ones according to Las Vegas. Buffalo, Ravens, Chiefs, Squealers, Vikings, Bengals, Cowboys, Dolphins, Seahawks.
All those for Hopkins?
No, Derrick Henry.
I think
Henry?
Henry.
I don't think any of them make sense, honestly. Maybe Baltimore.
Yeah, Pittsburgh doesn't. No.
Pittsburgh, no.
Maybe Baltimore.
Minnesota, no. I mean, maybe Minnesota. That just doesn't seem like something they would do.
No, I don't think he's a fit for what they are offensively.
And that team's not all the way in.
No.
Seahawks, maybe?
No,
they have Kenneth Walker and
studs.
Charbonnet, two second-round picks they drafted the last 2 drafts.
Doesn't mean anything. We've seen this.
I'm trying to think of somebody out.
Bengals? It doesn't fit that. We make the most sense.
We make the most sense with our injury
right
issues,
now.
For sure, yeah. Hopkins, though, I mean, now you're talking, he could go anywhere. I could see him in Baltimore tomorrow.
According to Las Vegas, the Browns with the second best odds.
To get Henry?
To get Hopkins.
We're
not even on the Henry
Squealers.
Odds. We're not?
No.
Who's first?
Squealers 5-1. Us and the Seahawks 6-1.
It's not going to.
I don't. Where's he going to play Seattle? Why does Seattle keep getting thrown in this? It doesn't make any sense.
They're in this a lot.
Yeah, I don't see Pittsburgh either. I don't see that. Who else on the list for Hopkins?
Chargers, Jags, Bills, basically 80% of the national
same
football.
People. Yeah.
Marquise Brown, Arizona.
Yes.
Stay or go, Zagura.
I mean, you're going to be. Kyler's coming back. They're good friends. It feels.
What are
like,
they going to do?
Or are you trying to get a new quarterback? And even so, I feel like you want Hollywood Brown there. So I think he stays.
I think he stays too. I think you got to have some young talent.
I'd be happy to take him. I like him.
I like him too.
I mean, if you want to get a fair evaluation, if you're indeed going to play Kyler Murray.
Yeah, unfortunately for them. Well, what are they? They're 1-6.
Yes.
So they are going to be. They'll be at the bottom. The thing is, they won't have the second pick. Because everybody thought that they would have Houston, and Houston would be picking first. 1 through 4. Well, Houston's been too good, so it could end up being Chicago picking way up there on the double dip with the Carolina pick. It's pretty wild that those two teams will have probably 2 of the top 15 picks. 4 of them will be at those two franchises, Bears and Cards.
Yeah. What about Zach Ertz, tight end Arizona, not having the greatest year?
He's on IR.
Stay or go?
He's on
hurt,
injured
right?
reserve. So I think it'd be hard to trade him. I mean, maybe somebody would do that, but I don't think so.
This is the next one's the one.
Devontae, yes, go.
Because that's a game breaker there. If he jumps into the mix, if he's put on the market, like if they lose this weekend, who do they have? Vikings? Are they at Minnesota?
Who?
No, Raiders, Lions.
Oh, Lions.
Monday
Night Football. Raiders, Lions. As soon as I knew it was in the Norris. If he goes on, if they lose to Detroit and they put him out there, that's a game changer for somebody. That dude. All of the people on this list, that's the biggest game record.
So, according to Big S,
give me the list.
Bills 4-1. I don't see it. Lions Titans 5-1.
Titans. That makes.
I don't
no
know
sense.
where. Like if you're getting rid of people,
I think
Browns and G-men 6-1. 7-1 49ers Packers, Cowboys 9-1, Bengals 11-1. I don't think the Cowboys have enough money.
To me, Bills. I understand why that's first. I mean, that would because
they
got to go.
Diggs
they're 4-3,
and Gabe Davis. That'd be a pretty good trio.
Yeah, and you got to go. You're in a window to go. That would make sense.
Could you see the Bengals trade him trade T. Higgins to the Raiders
to rent
Devontae?
I know. Do the Ben Baby thing because I know that I saw this earlier.
Yeah, this is from ESPN.com, their NFL Nation reporters. All 32 reporters had to pick one player from the team they cover who could be dealt before the trade deadline. Ben Baby says T. Higgins.
I just don't see it. I don't see it.
He said Higgins and the Bengals couldn't come to terms on a long-term deal this offseason. Cincy has been adamant in its resistance to trading Higgins, who's in the final year of his rookie year. If he isn't in the team's long-term plans, though, the Bengals should test the market to see what they could get in return, especially because they could be replacing Higgins and number 3 wideout Tyler Boyd as soon as next season. Higgins has 21 TD catches since being drafted.
I understand the thinking and why Ben would write what he would write, but I also think if they weren't 3-3 and now they think they're healthy and they think that they can go win the Super Bowl, so they're not upsetting that apple cart now. I think that would be something that happens because I think they can still franchise him. Not that they'd be thrilled to do it, but they could still franchise him this offseason or else then they could seek a trade for him.
Yeah.
I don't see them doing it during the season. I think they want to see if everything they intended to have, they have, and they're going to get a good test. They got San Francisco on Sunday.
I just think it's very interesting to see how this all plays out. Last year there was a flurry of activity and
well, more than we're starting to see that now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I've already seen that
National
with
Football
Bayard. Like now, people are actually using the trade deadline. For the longest time, it wasn't anything that was used much, but it's actually being used quite a bit. I think Adams is the most impactful. The young pass rushers with Washington, if they with Sweat and Young, if those guys hit the market. I mean, you're talking about really young players in their prime. If those cats hit the market, that'd be a very big deal. Henry would be a big deal, I think, to us, potentially. I don't know how many other teams he'd be a big deal to, like putting him on Dallas. That doesn't really change much for me.
They got Tony Pollard.
Yeah. So the other guys in the AFC North, by the way, from this NFL reporters column for ESPN.com, the Ravens, Jamison Hensley says Tyler Huntley, Pro Bowl quarterback. Our Jake Trotter says Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Thing about DPJ is I realize he's not putting up the stats that people want, and like obviously if you got a receiver, but you need to have a quarterback for that to matter. What DPJ does is block incredibly well. You go look at our long run, he comes across the formation and takes on Ibukam by himself and puts that block that gives Jerome Ford a chance to dance in the hole and then hit that 69-yard touchdown. He's an excellent blocker down the field. And so he is more valuable than his receiving totals to us right now. And to me, it's crazy. I mean, this guy had 860 yards last year. Like, it's wild that he is so not a factor in the passing game this year. He had 61, 839, and 3 touchdowns. But we're the worst passing team in the league.
I was just going to say, our
like,
passing game,
fact.
our passing game
That's
isn't
the
a
problem.
factor.
Yeah.
We're the worst. We're the worst passing team in the NFL.
Yeah, so that makes it hard for
and
anybody.
we're 4-2. So,
Yeah. Imagine
if we can get our quarterback back and he can be himself again, and then we can pass like we did against Tennessee, maybe we can start whooping people.
Real quick, Brooke Pryor says offensive tackle Dan Moore, their starting left tackle.
Jeez.
I don't think that. I know that they drafted a guy, but
I'm sure all these writers were saying, put somebody in this so we can do one
They
for
have
every
to.
team.
Yeah, you
so they
gotta do
have
it.
to, so you got to do it. Pet Supplies Plus giving you a chance to win tickets to home games all season long while providing the best deals for your pet at over 75 stores throughout Ohio. Enter to win at clevelandbrowns.com/Pet Supplies Plus. Receive a coupon to use at your local store with your entry. Pet Supplies Plus, proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. So much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Join Ken and Gerard tonight, 7 to 8, Browns preview show all along the University Hospital's Cleveland Browns radio network. Miles joining the program. New Cavaliers minority owner Miles Garrett joining the program.
Oh, baby. Is that it?
You got it.
Oh, my headphones aren't working now.
Where are we on the chairs, Gibby?
Yeah, dude.
I don't know. I haven't seen Schroedick.
Why can't I hear anything?
I don't know.
Are you plugged?
I
Plugged
was,
in, baby?
yeah.
Get yourself locked in.
Yeah, I can't hear. I can only hear you. That's fine.
Really?
There's nobody else you need to hear. You hear me you hear me throughout, not throughout the headset.
Correct. I hear you through this ear. And it was working fine all show. It just stopped working.
Yeah, that's odd. It's
One.
very, very strange. Cavs open tonight. Good luck to them.
Let's go.
In Brooklyn. That'll be fun. Be good.
Good luck. Good luck to them.
How many
and
players
the
could you
Miles.
name on the Brooklyn Nets?
Uno's got his hand raised.
Of course he does. Of course Uno's got it.
He's
raised.
also
On
guy
the
watching
Nets
baseball.
right now?
Yeah.
Kyrie.
No.
James Harden.
Incorrect.
Kevin Durant.
Incorrect.
Jason Kidd. Steve Nash.
Jason Kidd. Out of retirement.
30.
Kenny Anderson.
Wasn't he the coach?
Derek Coleman.
Yeah. All right,
Drazen.
the next level is next. I assure you they will be able to name more people who play for the current Brooklyn Nets. You have that to look forward
Joe
to, which
Harris.
is nice. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.